Hello and welcome to episode 12 of Unleash Your Inner Goddess with me, your host, Sarah Joyce Hindle. Now, I'm pretty sure you can tell that my voice doesn't quite sound the same today. It seems to be going. I seem to be losing my voice. So I couldn't not do a podcast episode this week because what I want to talk about is really important. And I figured hopefully if my voice behaves itself enough, you will be able to listen and get all these wonderful gems that I'm going to share with you today. Hopefully next week I will be back to normal. But yeah, my voice is not great today. It's a little bit husky. I'm excited to talk about the bigger picture today. So the bigger picture when it comes to leveling up, to unleashing our inner goddesses, badasses, bosses, however we identify with that sort of inner being, that best version of ourselves. I want to talk about what is actually holding us back from our full potential, right? From achieving all we want to achieve. Because quite often, folk are surprised to find that the answers are actually right in front of them. It's not external factors. It's not the world isn't quite right, the weather is bad, the house is a mess, the people aren't interested in what I have to offer. Quite often, it's inside of them, it's within their control. It's something that they can access and implement and grow from that's going to really help them level up. And in my course, Elevate, we go deep into the 4 things I'm going to share with you today. How to make these things work for you so that you can level up. How you can easily and successfully integrate these things into your life for the most impact, right? These 4 things I'm going to talk to you about in just a moment are literally, they have the ability to revolutionize your life if you let them. They can revolutionize your work. They can help you show up differently in the world, help you show up with more energy, with more vigor, with more confidence. And a quick note before we dive in. Those of you who are listening prior to the 26th of April 2022, you can head over to the link in the show notes and grab my course Elevate at the early bird rate. If you're listening to this after that, the link is still the same. You can still purchase Elevate. It's fantastic. It is like jam-packed, full of content, full of aha moments, full of science and psychology-backed research as well, because I'm not just going to give you a course without scientific and psychology-based facts and the reasoning behind why this stuff works and why in the past you might have done these things and it might not have worked for you, okay? The course doesn't officially go live until April 26th, so if you do happen to order before then, you get the amazing offer because you have pre-ordered, because you have supported this, and you'll get full access to that on the 26th of April 2022. Okay, let's get to it. If I know my listeners at all, I can guess what I'm about to tell you isn't news. At least not on the surface. You have likely heard this before, and you may have even implemented some of these things before, and it worked for a few days, maybe something threw you off, and you ended up right back where you started. You know when you start something, let's say getting up 30 minutes earlier, and you know it'll allow you to get some work done before the kids wake up, or it means you can get your exercise done in the morning before you start your day. Whatever it is, you do it for a few days, and then it slips. And then you try again, and it slips. And then you beat yourself up, and, you feel like a failure. Maybe you feel like you're not cut out for this. And you fall back into old patterns, routines, old ways of being. And maybe at this point, you're starting to think, you just aren't able to do this thing. Or you've tried and failed again. So you start believing that, you aren't a morning person, or you don't have any willpower, any stamina, for whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And I'm going to give you what I call the 4 holistic fundamentals. And for each fundamental, I'm going to give you one action step today to regain some control, feel at peace, or completely overhaul these 4 areas of your life. So these 4 fundamentals directly impact how you show up in your work or your business, how you interact with your friends, your family, clients, and colleagues. They will literally give you more energy, more confidence, and more trust in our ability that the things we want to do for ourselves are actually possible. If you do choose to work through Elevate, I don't only give you the ideas, the suggestions, and the psychology-backed research. I also give you the tools that are going to aid your success, okay? That are going to nail these 4 fundamentals and also level up your confidence, your self-belief, and your resilience. And we look at how you are showing up now and where you want to be and how to close that gap, how to get there. We look at taking control of our days and also utilizing our feminine and masculine energy, as well as reprogramming your brain for true elevation and to be able to be the best version of yourself, right? It's not just these 4 fundamentals I'm talking about today. We're going to go deep with your confidence, deep with your self-belief, deep with your resilience, deep with your timekeeping, okay? Deep with your mindset and what has perhaps worked for you before but isn't working for you now. We're going to look at, okay, well, what's next? How else can I level up? How else can I be the next level person that I want to be? How can I unleash my inner goddess, right? Okay, so the 4 holistic fundamentals are sleep, eat, move, repeat. Okay, sleep, eat, move, repeat. So nailing our sleep routine, so that's like before we go to bed, during the night, and after we wake up. Being mindful of how and when we choose to nourish our bodies with food and drink. How we spend our days, right? So that's movement. So are we stagnant and immobile, or are we energizing our bodies through regular movement, which also stimulates our brain too? Like, what are we doing? How are we spending our days? Are we just sat still or are we moving about? And repeat. So that's repetition. That is the art of building sustainable habits, right? We go so deep with these 4 holistic fundamentals on the course. So just picking one thing for each of these was super hard. Okay, so my one tip for regaining control and feeling better with sleep is to maintain a bedtime and waking routine. So when we go into bed at different times of the evening and staying up late and, waking up at different times of the day and getting inconsistent sleep, we are losing our rhythm. We don't have a rhythm. We don't know when we're supposed to be going to bed. We don't know when our bodies are supposed to be tired. We don't know when we're supposed to be waking up, right? And our bodies like to work to a rhythm. It's called a circadian rhythm. And it's a 24-hour rhythm that helps us know when we should be awake and alert and when we should be winding down and when we should be resting. And if we're not finding a routine and a rhythm in our days, our body gets confused. It doesn't know when it's preparing for sleep. It doesn't know when it should be energized. It doesn't know what the hell it's doing. So maintain a bedtime and waking routine is going to really help you level up in this area. Obviously, there are so many extra things that I put in the course and really go deep with and really explain. But if you could just nail this one from listening to this podcast today, this is going to help you tenfold. And typically, an adult needs approximately 7 to 9 hours. You really need to find out what works best for you. But, if you're basing your sleeping and your waking routine on 7 to 9 hours, you can't go far wrong. Slight side note, the weekend needs to be similar because your circadian rhythm doesn't understand that, weekends or days off run on a different schedule. So like for me, I try and stay around 10 o'clock at night. I go to bed and I wake at 6ish. That might not work for you, but maintain a, bedtime and morning routine is going to help you massively. Okay, so the second one is eat, but it's actually nourishment because sleep, nourishment, move, repeat doesn't sound so good. Sleep, eat, move, repeat sounded a whole lot better. So my tip for nourishment is to consider when you're choosing to eat your meals. Are you eating a heavy meal right before you go to bed? Are you, is your body struggling to digest because you're supposed to be sleeping? Are you not getting a good night's sleep because you're digesting? In an ideal world, although this isn't always a possibility, we should be eating our food 4 hours before we go to bed to give ourselves a chance to digest, to give ourselves a chance to process what we've just eaten. So consider when you're eating, and if it is right before bed, can you move that a little bit earlier? Can you sort of aim for an hour before bed, 2 hours before bed, 3 hours before bed? That's going to really aid your sleep as well. Another thing to consider with eating, because I feel like that was more of a sleep one, I'm going to throw this extra one in there off the cuff. Be mindful of how much water you're drinking, okay? This is like the most basic thing that we often forget because, we're busy drinking coffee, we're busy drinking fizzy drinks, we're having a glass of wine. Like, how much actual water are you drinking? Track it. Get yourself a nice fancy bottle and track how much water you're drinking, or, implement having a glass of water the minute you wake up for the day. This is going to make a massive difference. Being fully hydrated, it's going to help you be more alert, it's going to help you be more energized, it's going to switch you on. Water is so good. Okay, movement. When I talk about movement, I don't just mean exercise. I don't just mean like spend an hour at the gym and you've done your exercise for the day. Like, that's great. If you want to go to the gym, that's great. You go to the gym. What I'm talking about here is how much are we moving our body intermittently throughout the day. You know, it's all well and good to do an hour's worth of exercise, but then if we're going to sit down for 8 hours of the day and then, I don't know, maybe we drive to a restaurant and we're sat down while we drive, and then we sit in the restaurant and we sit down, and then we come home, we watch TV and we're sat down. We're not really mobile. We're not really energizing our bodies. We're not really sort of energizing our minds either. Movement energizes the mind. Anyone that does exercise at the gym, anyone that goes swimming, anybody that goes running, you feel invigorated after you've done exercise, right? We can do that on a smaller scale by just taking regular breaks throughout our working day to, you know, walk around the block or do a couple of stretches or 5 minutes of yoga, or even just having a walk around the house if you can't get out. Re-energize yourself and take your mind off the screen for a second as well. A lot of us are, you know, or off our craft. A lot of us are doing work, we're on screens, we're on phone calls, we're typing, we're crafting, you know, whatever we're doing. Take that break, go and move your body. Take those little breaks. You know, they don't have to be a lot. 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. It's going to reinvigorate you. It's going to help you come back to your work more focused and more ready to do some work. The final one is repeat. So that's repetition. That is habit building. That is making things easy so that you're doing them without thinking, so that they're on autopilot. When you're building things into your day that you've not done before, it takes time to make that a habit. And you need to consciously do the thing before it goes on autopilot, right? So my tip for repetition is to set reminders on your phone, okay? Remind yourself of what you're trying to accomplish, or tell somebody your plan of doing XYZ so that they can help keep you accountable, so they can check in with you. Or, you know, another option is to track it. You know, you can create a little tracker, a little graph that you can just like mark on when you did the thing and when you didn't do the thing, or you could just use a tick sheet. Keep track of what you're doing. If you're tracking it, if somebody else is holding you accountable, if you set reminders, you are much more likely to succeed because you're getting those prompts, okay? You're getting those reminders. It's bringing it into your conscious so that you can, you know, do the thing that you've set out to do. And then eventually it'll become an autopilot. Like when I think back to my childhood, my mum was always, you know, reminding us to brush our teeth, brush your teeth, have you brushed your teeth, go and brush your teeth, you know, that sort of thing. That's because it wasn't a habit and I needed reminding. Now I brush my teeth on autopilot in the morning when I'm half asleep because I've been doing it all my life. This is the same thing. It works exactly the same way. Another tip here, because I really struggle to just pick one for repetition for habit building, and that's to be consistent with what you are wanting to make habit. So try and do the thing at the same time each day, or before or after an activity you do each day without fail. So the one I mentioned before about drinking a glass of water in the morning, you might choose to do that straight after you brush your teeth, because hopefully brushing your teeth is a habit you do without thinking, and then you can go straight on to drink your glass of water. It's a really good way to prompt you, like, oh, I'm doing my teeth now and then I'm drinking a glass of water, rather than just fitting in a glass of water at some point before you start work. I hope those holistic fundamentals have been helpful, and those tips that I've given you today. Obviously, if you want more of the tips and the hacks on holistic fundamentals, as well as the confidence and the resilience and the self-belief and all that wonderful stuff to truly level up, the link to Elevate is in the show notes. Thank you for putting up with my voice today. I hope it's not been too bad. And that's it.